So, yeah, given that you guys already know from the terms of what lecture is named, that what we're going to learn today. Basically, we're going to learn about routing. एक second लेना, let me just start this application and then we'll move towards that. So, um, okay. So, yeah, up until it's getting installed and all. So, let's come here. Let me clear the canvas. Yeah. So, you guys only tell me what might we mean by routing? Routing मतलब क्या होगा? What does this what does this routing might mean? Routing. Connecting, going one page from other. Okay. Okay. Anything else? Navigating from one page to another. Okay. ठीक है. तो do you think at personal level की navigation is something that all the websites have or should have at least? Yes. So just remember about how we used to create applications with using JS and DOM. In that cases, were we ever doing routing? Were we like ever visiting another page from one page? Yes, yes, right. I mean, you guys remember or not that you created cart.html, you created homepage.html, right? You created register.html. We all created these routes, no? And इस पेज से इस पेज पे जंप करना है, इस पेज से इस पेज पे जंप करना है, something like this used to happen. Now, how did we used to do this in normal HTML? We were doing this href a. So one way was going about it using anchor tag, and we'll use the href, and the another was going for window tag, right? Although a is applicable in React, you will of course have access to that HTML element. You won't be able to do this window.location.href, right? It won't be advised. But if you are gonna do this, wherein you do a href, you'll have to visit a certain page. But in that case, href usually क्या करता है? When it visits another page, it reloads the page or not? If it's opening on the same page, it's gonna reload, else it will open on a new tab. But basically a reload is gonna happen for sure. And if we are using React, do we want something like this to happen? We don't want our things to be reloaded, we want them to be re-rendered. Yes, yes. Because you know, I know that React is a single page application. And like in HTML, we had these separate pages which we can visit. We don't have that thing over here, right? So what can be considered, I'm not saying it will be a page, I'm just saying can be considered as a page. Because in evaluation one also, you have done something wherein you had a product and then you sent user to another product detail. I mean, not just sent, you showed it, you rendered. So how did you do this? Component calling, right? So you just called another component from this component, right? So basically, the word we are looking here is conditional rendering. This is what we did. I'm not sure if you guys have tried multiple pages conditional rendering or not, but अभी तक किसी ने try किया है? As in, what I'm basically asking is, let's say I have three components, right? One component, second component, and third component, right? And this component is, let's say, show, right? this component is data, and this component, let's say it's card, right? So if I have like a nav bar, right? यहाँ पे let's say home page पे app.jsx पे I have a nav bar wherein I have these three buttons: show data, I have I have a data button, and I have a card button, right? And based on what I'm clicking, I should be opening these certain components. So can we do this basic stuff by whatever we know up until now? Yes, yes. So basically, in here, whenever I'm clicking on this button, I'll call a handle click, right? Whenever I'm clicking any of these buttons, I can say I'll call a handle click function, and उस function में I'll pass a string or something, just an identifier कि if this button was clicked, this was clicked, or this was clicked, right? And based on that, let's say this was 1, this was 2, this was 3. Based on that, I can say if 1 was pressed, I'm gonna call show 1, else if 2 was pressed, I'm gonna do data, else I'm just gonna write it here only, else I'm gonna show card. Something like this we can do, and based on that we can render different pages. Yes, तो बस इसी चीज को थॉट में रखते हुए there was a library created which was called react router, right? And what they did, they provided not just that you have to write these many if else conditions, they provided a basic set of things जो कि you can directly implement in your application, right? So but before using all these, first thing first, we'll have to install this setup in our application, right? So we are not going to do if and else. This is something that you guys can try later on. We're going to start with something that is called routing again, but over, right? तो वहां पे क्या होगा, again you tell me if this makes more sense or not. What we'll do by using, let's assume that this object is imported from your react router DOM, right? RDK. Using this object, what I can do, I have, let's say, add component. So I'll attach a URL to this. I'll say that whenever I'm visiting localhost 4000 and it has just a normal slash, I'll be visiting this add page. Let's say I have a subtract page, right? So if I visit sub like this, if this has sub in it, I'll visit this particular component. So is it more clearer way of identifying a page even from the URL point of view? Right? So this is what we are now trying to do, right? So let's see how it all starts, and maybe slowly we can start incorporating that, right? So yeah, let me zoom it out twice. Okay, so now that our application is set it up, let's just run it. So npm run, let me clear it and then run it. Npm run dev. I'll open this and make it so. Right. So now src app.jsx. Let's keep the chat here. App.jsx. Let's clean this up. We don't need these things. And let's clear app.css up also. And index.css. All right. So in here in app.jsx, first thing first, let's install that routing feature. So we'll visit sprint 2 d4 and उसके अंदर we have a routing. All right, over here you'll have to write npm I or install if you want. I mean, let's go with install if you want, and we can write react router dot, right? Again, it's not something that you have to exactly remember. You can visit the documentation to react router, right? Let's say, so here's the documentation. You can click on npm version of it. I think they have the getting started right over here only. Okay, so here you can of course click on getting started. You can click on tutorial or whatever, right? But anyways, this is how you will start with it, right? You will start with npm install React router. You don't have to do this, right? It says only for this tutorial. You just have to do React router. And this is where you will start with all that stuff, right? तो अभी ये जो चीजें आएंगी, we'll discuss about it later on. But for now, let's just build our application. Yeah, so I hope everyone has a application setup, right? So that you can do it with me. If you have any doubt, you can post it, right? So let's install React. Correct. तो जब तक ये React router install हो रहा है, let's assume कि given that using that diagram I told you, कि we will be able to create separate routes for separate functions, right? So let's एक second देना मुझे. Let me just close all these and open it. थोड़ा clutter हो गया था. और चलो. So we will need certain components to showcase कि yes, our routing is working, right? So let's create these certain components. And over here we can have some basic components. So let's say we'll have home.jsx, right? Then what else can we have? Home.jsx, product.jsx, and we can have a cart.jsx, right? Again, just for showcase purpose, nothing else. And in here we can have like a const product, and this will be just a return statement with a div which says h1 product page, right? Similarly, I'm just going to do exact same thing with my home. This will be home page. This will be updated also as home, and similarly cart page. So again, this thing will be. All right, so we have created the separate page, nothing much. About would have made moves. So let's have about. Let's have about, right? And product ko bhi. So let's keep it as product only. So we have these three separate components, and what we want to do is, first thing first, we want to create different separate endpoints for that, so that maybe if I visit them, let's say if I want to write /home or something, I should be visiting that specific URL. So that all starts with app.jsx only. Given that we have installed the React router down, right? First thing that we have to import from it will be an object, and that object, do we need React DOM over here? Sure. That object will be browser, right? And this will be from React router DOM. This one. Clear? So again, usually the usual way of doing it is that you pick the browser router and you rename it as router so that you can just simply start using it, right? So over here we have like destructured browser router, and we have kind of renamed it into a router. Clear? Clear? Browser router in main.jsx wrap it. So there are multiple ways of actually wrapping it, right? So one way is कि you do that in main.jsx, but that way is usually followed once you start with tsx, right? TypeScript के साथ start करते हो. Then you try to prevent app.jsx. You usually set up stuff in main.jsx, right? Abhi ke liye, let's go with a bit easier way of doing these things, so that first time at least you get accustomed to the syntax, and uske baad maybe going forward we can refactor it, and we can use different ways also, right? Multiple ways honge. Think this is one way, right? And I promise you this is the most easiest way. All right, chalo. So now that you have this router over here, let me tell you this browser router जो हमने देखा, right? This browser router, this has like everything that you will ever need for a routing application. What do I mean by that? Think about this thing that you are creating a routing setup, right? आप एक routing library लिख रहे हो, so you'll have to think from users perspective कि what might they need. Make sense? Make sense? So what do you think? What's the very first thing that user will expect from a library that helps with routing? पहली चीज क्या होगी? It helps with endpoint, creates endpoint. You'll want this. Anything else that you might want? Creates endpoint. Anything else? I mean, endpoint is created. Then what? Should we use it to navigate? Use it to navigate, right? सिर्फ define करने से मतलब नहीं है ना. If you visit that specific endpoint, you should see the component, right? क्योंकि endpoint तो we can अभी भी visit कर सकते हैं. I mean, can I not just go and type /home over here? That's fine, right? But it's not present there, तो वो कुछ दिखाएगा नहीं. Clear? So what you want is कि if you are visiting that endpoint, you get that specific component that you were looking for, right? So these two things are something that is very important that you might expect from a library. So let's first clarify that first thing wherein we at least are able to define specific route for specific things, right? How do we do that? Yeah, we'll basically have to wrap it. So either we can do it here. Okay. So one thing that is over here is that actually I was hoping to tell you guys this thing later, but अभी बता देता हूँ. तो this browser router is written in context API format, right? So it's a library that you use, but ये जो library लिखी गई है, it's in form of context API only. So you remember context API that we learned, right? You don't have to think about context API for now when we're using it. It's just that it's written in context API. So I'll ask you a small question. If you want to use a certain route somewhere, right? And it's written in context API. अगर आपके पास context API में एक state है, तो you'll have to cover it from the topmost point, right? And given that React is a single page application, so the starting point will be app. So won't it make sense कि app should be wrapped inside this context, which is browser router, right? I think Sayed was trying to mention that. Yeah, so I might have missed this, but we should have done this setup of browser router in main, right? Because here we have access to this app और इसको हम लोग wrap कर सकते हैं. ठीक. तो yeah, my bad over there. अभी के लिए let's just remove it. We don't need browser router over here. Let's go in main. And over here we can import. So we'll import browser router as router from React router, right? And we'll basically pick this router and we'll wrap app inside it, right? तो हम क्या करेंगे इस router में we'll wrap app over there. Pick this app and we'll wrap it. Right? So by doing this, what we are saying कि now in this app, everything that this router holds, every methods, every variables and all, they will be available in app and every children this app has. Yes, this is what we have learned so far with context API at least. Right? So this is basically the first step of setting your system up. First thing first, you will enable this app to use route features. Now back to ये वाला कर लो everyone. At least be done with this. Just two things. You have to import browser router. Usually the thing is you import it as router. You can just wrap it in browser router. That's fine. But usually the convention is this. And then in app.jsx we'll start creating these specific routes. एक बार हो जाए तो बताओ। अच्छा, done. All right. So now the second thing will be to basically start creating these routes. Main.j6, yes, there. All right. So now again this browser router एक चीज इसने provide की, that was your router. And second thing that we'll need is we'll need two components, एक होगा routes and एक होगा route. Right now what these two components mean, this routes component, right, routes component basically enables routing, right, and इसके अंदर this route that there is वो for a specific component it creates route, right. So routes के अंदर you will have route, that only makes sense कि ये routes will be there. So let's have import, this will be routes, and we'll import route also. Right, we'll import two things, routes and route, right, and over here you'll come, you'll write routes, and inside this how many components do we have to show as pages? Three components है जिनको maybe we want to show them as pages, right. So yeah, so we'll show these through three in route format. So we'll have a route, right? Routes are usually self-closing. Similarly, we'll have three specific routes, right? One route each for each page over here, right? Now this route feature will take two like attribute. It can take few more, but mainly it takes two. One will be ki what's the route gonna be, and second will be what the component will be, right? So first thing first, all imports and import declaration are unused. Why did we have to use routes? Okay. Oh, एक बार routes बना लेते, then you'll get an idea, right? So over here, first thing first, you'll mention path. Basically, where do you want to visit? So again, one more small thing. Whenever you visit a web page, there is always a landing page, right? Right? There is supposed to be a landing page, है ना? Yeah, so that's fine. We can name it as div then. I mean, it's not an issue. It will be fine. We can name it as div. That's fine. All right. So that landing page is usually like this page can be a landing page, right? So if you want to create a landing page, uska path is just a slash, nothing else, right? And over here, now you'll mention which component is gonna be landing page. So in our case, what I'm gonna say that home page is gonna be the landing page. So I'll import home, right? Let's use by default feature. Okay, I can do that. So let's import home, and home. Basically, I think we haven't exported them. So let's export them. Let's export home. Similarly, export const and about also. Right, so यहाँ पे will import home from component slash home, and yeah. So abhi by default when I load a page, I'll visit this specific path, and on that specific path, the element or the component that it's gonna load is gonna be this home component. Clear? Similarly, if I wanna attach a path for a product section, so what I'll do, I'll attach a slash product, right? So product component, so product ही दिखाते हैं पहले. So we'll have a element, and over here we'll attach the product. So product. The equals. So now if I visit slash product, if I press enter, I'll visit this product page. Element is keyword, yes, element is a keyword. Attribute wala. Similarly, if I want to go for about section, I'll just attach a about over here, and I'll have element, and this will be your about section. right? So in this fashion, you'll be able to create certain routes for your application. So we can write about to go ahead, right? Huh. That was intentional. In first route, you kept path and slash without using you. The reason being, you always need a landing page in your application. Now, how does React Router DOM understands which page is landing page? If it has just an empty slash, that means that is gonna be the landing page. ठीक है तो whenever let's say if I close this application if I close this application right if I close this page even and उसके बाद if I do npm or let me clear it first if I do npm run dev again right so now if I open it again it's still gonna open homepage. Clear? Inside the part, starting letter will be smaller case. I mean, convention is that, but given that it's a string, I don't suppose it matters a lot, right? Because it's just a string. So let's say if you go and write it as P, capital P, right? Not this, right? Till visit this. Take the, I mean, it's just a string. It's how you can use it. Will empty string work? I would rather suggest you to use a slash because slash will give an idea that yeah, this is a route. Clear? So have everyone created routes? Are they able to visit these specific routes components? Yes, right? Okay. So now that we have created components based on route, we are kind of now on the same page with HTML. Just HTML में करते हैं, create different pages and those pages we can visit. Right? So now rather than naming it components, I should have named it pages, but for now it's component named, that's fine. So everyone can create now routes based on this. This is route, that's it. That's it. This is how you set up routing, nothing else. Clear? All right. So when we use .j6 when importing, in React, you don't have to write specifically .j6. You can just directly import. All right. So now, don't you think this is something that could have been made or created in a bit more optimized fashion? Not in this fashion, bit more optimized. Because can you not see a repetition over here? Little organized, okay, okay, ठीक है, ठीक है. So isn't route exact same element that we are creating again and again and again? Route, right? And it has just these properties. They can be dynamic, no? Right? So the usual way of approaching this is that you create a let's say what should we call it? Let's say routing. Route data we can call it route data, right? And this will be an array. And in this array, you'll have specific elements. First element will be path, and that path will be slash and this will be slash and the element will be port, right? So you can mention it as port. So don't you think this will make more sense, right? Because we can add few more paths and we don't have to update HTML based on that. So similarly, we can have a slash product path also, right? And we'll have element. Guys, are you like, I'll share this code later on. So I'll also give you time to note it down. So just respond whenever it's needed. Right? ऐसा नहीं कि आप साथ में कर रहे हो you're not even respond. All right. Path and this will be slash about. right? And over here, I'll um, I'll provide the element, and that will be above, right? So now over here, I can remove everything, and in this route, I can just do route data dot map and element. Now these specific elements are these specific elements, right? So over here, can I not just return route, right? And this route will have path. What should be the path? Element dot path. Similarly, element, 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 and this will be your element ele dot element, right? So again, we'll have all these paths, so you don't have to route again and again. You can just go and if you want, you can do array dot push, or you can just create one more path if you want, right? So this is how you can make it a bit more in dynamic fashion. Clear? Everyone done with this? All right. Chalo. So now again, let's say I am again on homepage doing. All right. Okay. So two minutes. You guys have quickly update करो, जल्दी से. Then done is not the point. The point is, do you have any doubt with respect to that? Done वो तो ठीक है. I'll share the code even. But any doubts with it? Because that's why I tell you to do it with me. क्योंकि जब खुद से लिखते तो maybe you understand कि ये क्यों लिख रहे हैं. Any doubts with respect to this? No. ठीक है. So again, user is not gonna do this always. User तो ये नहीं करेगा ना कि slash product पे जाना है मुझे तो I'll write slash product. They need buttons. They need interaction. Interaction. So now the first or very important step is gonna be how we'll make user interact with our page, right? All right. So this is homepage which we're visiting by default. What should be present here? A navigation bar, nav bar. Yes. Should we have a nav bar? Right. So let's do one thing. Let's create a separate component for nav bar itself. Okay, maybe you want to import it in different components also, right? Or we can even create it here only. So let's do it separately. Let's do it, right? So let's have export const and navbar. All right. So what do you think? Navbar should have how many buttons? What should navbar have? 3 buttons. 3 buttons. One for homepage, one for about section, and one for product section. Right. So if we are already on homepage, why do we need home button again? Is it क्यों? Because we might visiting product page and from there we want to go back to home again, right? Right. All right. So abhi usually in HTML what we do to achieve things like this, we write anchor tags, right? We write anchor tags. We go and write, let's say a पहले anchor tag में लिखते हैं and then I'll kind of refactor it. So let's say कि anchor tag में लिखा home, right? And then of course we are gonna need a div over here. So let's have that. We'll have home, right? And what should the href represent? What should the href represent? path. So dot slash, where should we visit? home.jsx. तो home.jsx पे तो already. अच्छा चलो. Let's have one more button. Let's have a. Yes, yeah. So you can attach hash. Very good. We can go with hash. That's fine. All right. Similarly, we'll have a product, and this will be href. And in href, you want to visit dot slash product.jsx. Similarly, a, and finally you'll have a about, right? About, and you'll have a href, and this will be dot slash about dot jsx. ठीक है. And we are exporting this nav bar. So let's see if we can import it real quick. So let's import nav bar from, okay, they have already imported it, and we can put nav bar before the route loads, right? So we can have nav bar here. All right, so we have that set up. We can maybe attach some css also. So in src, let's have a styles folder, and in this styles we'll have where styles. In styles we'll have a nav bar dot css. All right, so let's just do basic css. We have navbar dot css. What we'll do, we'll pick the div, or maybe we can name the div something, because we might have further more divs. So इसको class name दे देते हैं nav container, right? And let's go over here. We'll do nav container, right? And just basic css. We'll keep the display as flex. We'll keep the weight as 100%, and we'll do justify content, and that will be space. Which one is equal? Between, right? Space between is equal. And what we'll do, let's import it so that we can see also कि क्या हो रहा है. So let's import. I mean CSS import करना आ गया ना सबको? All right, ठीक है. So here we'll do navbar dot css, or this will also be, right? Styles from navbar. Okay, let's see. We're not exporting it, so we'll need the path also. ठीक है. Okay, तो यहाँ पे space around was fine. Around. ठीक है. This is fine, and like a proper definition should be there for this thing navbar. So we can do. We can fix the position. First thing first, position fixed, and margin bottom. Can we do that? 100 pixel. Let's see. अच्छा, that won't work. So चलो, let's not fix the position then. Let it be for now floaty, because फिर हमें हर एक home page का करना पड़ेगा. That you can do later on. I can just give it a background color, maybe white smoke. All right, and so let's try doing that. Position, let's say if we make it fixed, right? And we'll do top 0, and we'll do left as 0. Right, that's fixed. Maybe a bit padding will do. So 10 pixel, and okay, 10 pixels fine. And you can have box shadow, right? So we'll just need a bottom shadow. Let's say 10 pixel black. Is the box shadow visible? I don't think so, right? So let's say 0 pixel and 0 pixel. All right, this looks fine. And yeah, this is better. Abhi हमें क्या करना है? We'll have to get these home pages and all in bottom, right? So app.jsx, uh, let's wrap these all routes in this div ताकि we can update the status overall एक साथ ही, right? And let's name this div as routes, and यहाँ पे app.css is imported, so we'll have dot routes, we'll have dot container and margin top 100 pixel. Okay, this is fine. To pixel, okay. Red तो नहीं रखूंगा मैं. I'm gonna keep it as red pixel. थोड़ा ज़्यादा डार्क नहीं होंगे? One. Okay, this is much better. All right, so yeah, now that we have our nav bars, if I click on product, I am sent to product.jsx. If I'm clicking on about, I'm sent to about.jsx, but that's not working. So let's do a small fix. I think it is trying to visit .jsx, so we can fix that, not an issue. Navbar mein, in navbar component, let's remove .jsx, right? Let it just visit that page. All right. So now if I refresh it, product, they'll have product page, about, they'll have about page, and home, they'll have home page. So home में let's add a dot slash. Take it. So if I visit home, I'll visit home, product, and this. Right. Wait, home में some issue is there. Home का route we okay. So let's just keep it as dot slash. Right. So yeah, home page. Got it? Why we were not visiting home? Because in app.jsx, the path for home is just a slash. That's why. Clear? So by using a tag, this is fine. This is doable. But can you see the underlying issue? Right? It is refreshing the page. Right? And if we are using React, refresh is not something that we want to do. Right? So इस चीज को replace करने के लिए, specifically to replace your anchor tag, a link tag was introduced from, of course, React Router DOM. Right? So before you start using this link tag, first thing first, we'll have to import it. Right? Let's import. Where shall we import this link tag from? Let's say if I write link over here, वो by default fill कर देगा. Where should we import it? React Router DOM, बड़ा नाम है, भूल सकते हैं. Right? To make sure you're remembering that. And we'll import link from. Right? And कुछ नहीं करना है. I mean, it's just going to be exact similar. I'm just going to keep this code over here. We'll have to visit and we'll have to write link over here. Right? Just like that, we'll write home. Similarly, I'll have to do this exact same thing for these guys also. So we'll have product and we'll have a about section. Right? The home, product, and about section. And again, you have to give a reference ki where do you want to visit. Right? So where do I want to visit? Dot slash. तो यहाँ पे you don't use href, you just use a to attribute कि आपको जाना है. Where do you want to go to? So I'm going to visit slash here. I'm going to visit, I mean, यहाँ पे we can just directly mention the endpoint. It accepts the endpoint. So that, and over here, we want to visit slash. Right? So now in this case, if I visit product, if I visit about, if I visit home, we are re-rendering or no? No, we are not. Right? पर एक interesting चीज दिखाऊं. Let's do one thing. Let's have all of them. Right? So first set of these things, I hope you understand. These are your anchor tags and these are our link tags. Yes? Yes. So if I open inspect and let's zoom this out a bit, let's see. And if I visit our elements, right? And over here, let's say if I want to point towards these specific, so if I click on about, what am I getting? Anchor tag makes sense, but rest three tags, this home, are they still anchor tag only? Right? So although React is taking care of all this, but at the end of the day, it's converting everything into the basic HTML that your system will, not system, your browser will able to understand. राइट तो पीछे जो रीफैक्टरिंग चल रही है दैट्स हैपनिंग बिकॉज रिएक्ट इज अ सिंगल पेज एप्लीकेशन एंड वो क्लाइंट साइड पे रेंडर कर रहा है सारी चीज राइट तो एक ही बार पूरा पेज आ गया एंड अब उस पेज पे लोड कर रहे हो तो यू डोंट हैव टू विजिट बैक एंड अगेन क्लियर तो स्टिल सेम चीज है बट दे आर डूइंग डिफरेंट थिंग्स बिकॉज रिएक्ट इन हाइंडसाइट हैज रीफैक्टर्ड गॉट इट ऑलराइट चलो तो नाउ वी डोंट नीड दिस अभी ये क्लियर है कि आई कैन फिगर आउट हाउ इज लिंक्ड डिफरेंट फ्रॉम ए टैग इट्स सिमिलर थिंग बट if you're using link tag it will re-render rather than refresh so that's the difference and also one more small thing is there that link tag will be converted into anchor tag only jab yeah the thing that is powering JSX isn't it Babel ही है ना right so remember that when we used to refactor the code and I used to show you कि कैसे वो Babel refactor कर रहा है तो it's just doing that only वो वापस उसको रिफैक्टर कर रहा है ओरिजिनल फॉर्म में इट्स पॉसिबल कि आप जाके बेबल के टर्मिनल पे इसको चेक करोगे कि लिंक टैग इज कन्वर्टिंग इनटू ए इट माइट नॉट क्योंकि वहां पे मे बी पैकेज इंस्टॉल्ड नहीं होगा इन दैट बट दैट्स व्हाट्स हैपनिंग बेसिकली दिस थिंग इज बीइंग कन्वर्टेड इनटू दैट क्लियर ऑलराइट सो again quickly do this if you have any doubt please let me know and then we'll move forward what will be used for route using button उस पे आते हैं थोड़ी देर में ठीक है आई मीन यू कैन ऑफ कोर्स कवर दिस इन बटन राइट तो इसमें यू कैन कवर दिस इन बटन ओनली ये भी हो सकता है बट देन अगेन द थिंग विल बी कि ओनली टेक्स्ट विल बी क्लिकेबल राइट सिर्फ टेक्स्ट विल बी क्लिकेबल द एंटायर बटन वोंट बी राइट मैं बटन पे क्लिक करूंगा तो नथिंग विल हैपन राइट बट इफ आई क्लिक ऑन टेक्स्ट देन दैट विल हैपन तो हाँ ऑफ कोर्स दैट्स अ फेयर इनफ क्वेश्चन थोड़ी देर में ठीक है गाइस गॉट द क्वेश्चन प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट शॉविक पुट कि these are texts that's fine but need buttons right so that we'll discuss in like kind of short duration all right यहाँ पे एक और छोटी सी चीज डिस्कस करनी है there's another product which is called navlinks right now these are basically specifically created for your navbar ke navigations only and they are not very much different from what our regular links does right you can very fairly use them that's fine एक छोटी सी चीज चेंज होती है कि these nav links right they have kind of customized css right as Sepal mentioned right तो अभी क्या होगा let's say कि not just link I'm even importing nav link from this तो कुछ नहीं करना है you can just replace every links with nav link right and if I go back over here if I click on product if I click on about if I click on home it's still working you can see that right so these two are almost same one specific difference is there in nav link a customized styling can be done right so currently do you guys get an understanding which specific thing is being clicked हम एंड पॉइंट से देख के बता सकते हैं कि इन विच पेज वी आर बट यहाँ पे इज इट लाइक शोन कि विच पेज यू आर फ्रॉम जस्ट लुकिंग एट द बटन कैन यू से कि विच पेज यू आर ऑन अगर मैं आपको आई एम नॉट शोइंग यू दिस और आई एम नॉट शोइंग यू दिस राइट तो बस वो वाला पार्ट थोड़ा कस्टमाइज कर देते तो ओवर हियर यू विल विजिट द स्टाइल ऑफ दिस right and in this style it takes a function right it takes a function and that function takes an object We usually restructure it and we keep it as is active. Right? Again, this is just a parameter. You can name it anything, but the convention is to call it as USF active, right? And this is a function. What this function will do, this will basically apply a specific CSS over it, right? And that you can say as color. And let's say color. I want to do if is active, like again it will check is that URL true or not, is that true or not. So wahan pe we can say ki, let's say over here, I mean, I'm not sure what color I want to show. uh let's say green, right? Else we can show blue, right? Similarly, let's do one thing. Let's copy this everywhere. Let's copy this particular piece of code everywhere. Let's copy this in product. Let's copy this in about. Right. Okay. Now, if I visit back over here, if I refresh it, so now if you see the nav bar, can you tell which button is being clicked? Right? So about is being clicked. If you click on product, this product will be clicked. If you click on home, this home will be clicked. Clear? So this is how you can do it. I mean, you can play around it. Will that work or not? So maybe background color, if I wanna change it in this format. So yeah, that will work for who. Let's say if I'm on product, the product again, you have to do this same thing everywhere. It's I'll pick this. And there. Right? तो अभी क्या होगा, बाकी चीजें which were not visited will be colored in blue, whichever is visited will be colored in green. Right? So again, I hope you understand the underlying principle. ये जो is active object है, it basically checks कि which URL is currently active in your input, like this box. And उस URL को it will test with this two, कि is that two true or not. वो दोनों को test कर लेगा and then it will put these color based on that. Right? So that entire testing, you don't have to do it. You can just import, get this is active and you can do it on this basis. हो जाएगा? Let's keep it as color only क्योंकि background color is looking ugly. So yeah, this is clear. Nabling's clear. Everyone quickly apply it, and then maybe we can start with that buttons that we talked about. To apply CSS in link tag, we have to use A in CSS. That should work. But rather than doing that, I would really recommend कि nav pick करो and उसके अंदर whatever things you have, या फिर just give them a class name. Right? But A should work, yeah. Here style is तो देखो इसको अगर अगेन आप ग्रैनुलर लेवल पे तोड़ो तो what you usually do with style is कि this is an object wherein you place the style, but style is an object in itself, right? तो इस तरीके से we usually do, right? अभी क्या है, in this style we have to call a function क्योंकि हमें ये is active चाहिए which basically checks everything, तो आपको नहीं करना पड़े. तो हमने यहाँ पे क्या किया, हमने यहाँ पे एक फंक्शन कॉल किया, राइट? लेकिन वो फंक्शन बाद में क्या रिटर्न कर रहा है, रिटर्न क्या कर रहा है, एक ऑब्जेक्ट रिटर्न कर रहा है फंक्शन. कैन यू सी दिस? राइट? तो जब ये फंक्शन एक ऑब्जेक्ट रिटर्न करेगा तो एट द एंड विल इट नॉट बी लाइक दिस ओनली with color, maybe red, maybe blue, right? So at the end, if this format is followed, you will be able to do style. Got it? But अभी भी यही कर रहे हैं, two objects. It's just that it's called in function. That's it. All right, done. Okay. All right. So now comes that thing कि मान लो we don't need anchor tags, rather we want to click a button and then I want to do some let's say I want to do some alert or something, and उसके बाद I want to navigate I want to change the page, navigate the page, whatever, right? तो उस केस में क्या करना पड़ेगा? उस केस में you'll have to basically चलो यहाँ पे दिखाता हूँ. I mean what I'm trying to pose is, let's say a on click is clicked and in here a handle click is set, right? और ये handle click में क्या हो रहा है? What this handle click function is doing, it's basically calling a fetch, right? पहले ये fetch कर रहा है, and once this fetch is successful, then it's sending you to next page, sending to next page, right? If we used to do these things in HTML, what we used to do? जब HTML में करते थे, we used to do that window.location.href fetch हो गया dot then में window.location.href, but we won't be using it here. over here तो नहीं कर सकते. So now what we'll do, let's say कि we are doing it in product page, right? In product page, what we are doing, we are basically, we have a button, right? And that button is basically, let's call it as fetch data, fetch data, right? And यहाँ पे whenever I click on it, on click, I'm running a function which is called handle click, right? So I'll go here, I'll have a function over here, it's called handle click, right? So now I want to do our usual fetch over here in products, right? So chalo, let's do a fetch also, that's fine. So uh placeholder API, this one, and let's say we are doing it for this URL, so let's use this, right? To do's users है क्या यहाँ पे? अच्छा, users is too big. Users, although chalo, let's get users then. So we'll get users, right? Product, I'm not sure products is here, right? So maybe user nahi, let's have posts, post will be there, right? The post we can use that. All right. So over here, let's say we wanna fetch it. So fetch करना है, so we can of course do usual fetch, but if we have a library for it, why do it? So npm install Axios, install करें, all right, and then we'll first import it. Right, and spelling handle, handle, this will be handle click. All right, and what will we import? We'll import Axios from shoes, right? And now over here we'll do Axios dot get and the URL, right? So this will get us the URL, get us the data, right? Now we can set the data up. Let data set data equals to use state array or object, array or object, array this time, and over here in your dot then you'll do res, and here what should we do? Set data, and this will be res dot data. All right, so once you have setted the data, इसके बाद let's put an alert. The yeah, the thing is that even though I'll show the data, right? Wait, we might be missing something. A handle click is being called and it is setting the data. Okay, the data might not be used, that's why we are getting the error. So let's show the data also. Let me check the error. Requested module does not provide an export name. Excuse. Okay. We installed it in routing app, right? Yeah, we did. And oh yeah, yeah. Excuse is not like named export. It's your default export, right? Yeah, my bad. All right. So now if I click on fetch data, I should fetch the data. Let's show that data real quick. So over here, we'll get the data, data.map element, and we'll just return, and that return will have a div. And so this div should have this div. So this div should have name and all, right? So we have posts. We did posts, right? So it should have title. It's a div p p title, and uh, this will be yearly dot title. Right? If I visit Pete again, if I click on fetch data, the data is being fetched. All right. So once we have fetched the data, यार पर data fetch करने के बाद why would you redirect your user? है ना? We should have thought it through. Why would I want to redirect my user if I have just fetched their data? Think about something else कि उसके बाद we want to redirect our user. After add the new data. Okay. Anything else? After adding it to cart. By default तो तब भी redirect नहीं करते. We give them an option that you want to go there. Any specific feature where you want to redirect it. After login. Yeah, हाँ. Login में हम लोग कर सकते हैं कि after login we want to redirect them. Alright, so I mean I was trying to skip login, but चलो बना देते हैं. It's not a big deal. Let's do that then. So over here. So if we are doing that, why keep this fetch data in this thing? Button click. We should keep it in use effect, right? Right? अच्छा यहाँ पे एक और चीज, again given that we have learned about use context and all, don't you think कि this data can be used somewhere else in this web page? Let's say I want to use that data in about section also, then I'll have to do fetch again, excuse that get, if I have to use in about section, right? Because about is a sibling. यहाँ पे मुझे फिर again that state upliftment and then prop drilling करना पड़ेगा if I want to share this specific data. So why not fetch this data in the parent only? Parent में data fetch करो and from here set it in your context. Make sense? Data यहीं पे fetch करो, set that data in context, and from there onwards use it wherever you need that data. Make sense? Everyone? ठीक है, let's do that. So let's say in components we have data context. Again, you guys tell me, let's follow CPC model. The first C means create. Okay. Second P, provide. Third P, consume. Okay. So first step will be of creating this context. So how do we create that context? Do I have to install something? No, it's provided by React itself. So I'll need to import create context from React खुद देता है सब कुछ, and then I have to define it. So I'll define it with export const. Let's say data context equals to create context. Context is created. Do we need to create a provider function, a provider component? Yes. So export const data context provider name करते इसको. Right. Let's give it a big extensive name. And over here, what shall we return? What shall we return? What is it, guys? क्या return होता है? Data context provider, right? Is this based on this name or this thing? Line number 5 or line number 7? 5, 5, right? Data context dot provider. Take the similarly, I'll get this also. Now, is a context created? Whatever code will go in there, वो बाद में figure out करेंगे. A context is created. Yes, yes. Now, should we start providing it to use? So we'll visit app or main पे चलते हैं, and let's wrap everything inside it. ये सब कुछ को wrap कर दें. So what should we import then? What should we import? Here is the names. What should we import? Provider, this again. If you have to remember कि what should you import, data context or data context provider, think about children किस में आएंगे. Will it come inside this variable or function? Function. So I'll go here and I'll import data context provider, right? And I'll pick this and I'll wrap everything, right? I'll have to do a kind of tab over it, वो बाद में करते हैं. But I'll wrap everything inside this data context provider, right? I'll even pick the router also. Why leave it? Let's keep it over here, right? And huh. So even though I've told you that this router is written in context API only, does it matter if you have multiple different context API? It matters up until you have nested them properly. No. ठीक है. So now will we start receiving these things as children in data context? So we'll receive them as children. All right. Should we send them over here? Children. So you have completed your provide phase also. Now over here, we'll have to start with what do you want to send and receive. So let data comma set data equals to use state, and this will be an empty array, and a function that I want to send, and that will be handle data updates equals to not equals to, so it will be just a function, and ये क्या करता है? It's gonna pick the set data, and from here it's gonna pick the older data, and it should return another array in which older data is. अच्छा चलो, we don't need to do this. अभी set data में क्या करते हैं? Let's make this handle data updates except a n array, right? A new data something, right? And this will set it back to n data, right? So this is the updater function, and this is the key that we have created. Should we provide it in here? What's the attribute name? Is it child? Child is fine. चलेगा. Value. Okay. So it should be value. Should be data and handle data updates. All right. What's this error? What's the error? This is supposed to be an object that will shared with children, right? And if you write like this, you have to destructure it. Okay? So there. Now we have set the entire context up. Now we should start with the consumption part. Yes, yes. Now you guys tell me, is app.jsx also covered? It is. So in app.jsx, if I pick app container यहाँ है, ठीक है. If I pick use effect, right? And in this use effect, what I want to do, I want to do all that Axios call that we did, right? In our product page. Product.js mein, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do nothing of this. I'm going to go back in app.jsx, go back in app.jsx, and यहाँ पे I want to do this fetch, right? The first thing first, we'll need Axios over here. Import करना पड़ेगा. So let's import Axios from Axios. That part is done. Now fetch will work, but there is no set data or anything. So we'll have to fix this. Now you want to set this in context. Taki once this app loads, that data will be available to each and every components that we further create. Yes? Yes? All right. So what should be the consumption part ka first step? How should we go about it? Import. What should we import? Import the context that we created. Okay. So what was that create context ka name? What was this create context ka name? Data context. Data context. All right. And we have to import a hook also, which is your use context. Right? All right. Chalo. So now over here, I'll go and define const. We want two things. What are those things? I already forgot the name. I think it's data and applications. And we are going to use context, and context mein, what's the context name? Data context. Right? So now can I pick this handle data updates and can I send res.data in it? Right? Now have I started feeding the data in context API? We are getting some error. Handle click is not defined. वो fix हो जाएगा. Don't worry about it. But have we started feeding data in context API? Right? Abhi first consumption is happening in product.jsx. यहाँ पे. So whenever this data is loading, I should be showing this data, right? Let's remove these buttons and also कुछ remove कर देते हैं. Button वाला feature थोड़ी देर बाद बात करते हैं. पहले इसको clear कर लेते हैं. So over here, if you want to use it again, we'll have to do that same thing. Const this equals to use context, and use context mein what should be the context name? Data context, right? It's already by default imported. Right? And abhi data context mein we had that data, so that data pe map ho raha hai, and in product page you can see that data is already there. Right? So now what good comes out of it is that even in about page, I can go and I can just write this step and I'll be able to import all the data. Right? So again, context API is saving our day with providing a store outside of the tree. ठीक है, इसमें तो कोई डाउट नहीं है ना. We kind of did a quick revision of context API also over here. ठीक, all right. So now let's say if we wanna चलो let's go with that login feature then. I mean, I don't think any way out of it क्योंकि और कोई चीज पे तो I mean there will be multiple things but for now we can't think of it. चलो, so let's go with that login page. But अच्छा break चाहिए. Okay, ठीक है. So we'll start. I hope the problem statement is like you guys remember it. What was it? Ki how do we replace window dot location dot href, right? इसको replace कैसे करें? ठीक, switch app to end product dot js because मैं वो क्यों नहीं करना चाह रहा हूँ क्योंकि अभी फिर फायदा क्या, मतलब एंकर टैग यूज करके कर ही रहे हैं तो वी शुड डू समथिंग एल्स ना विद दैट फीचर। करते हैं, लॉगिन के साथ करते हैं। आई यूज फायरबेस आल्सो, तो दो एपीआई एक एप्लीकेशन में भी यूज कर लेते हैं। ठीक है, चलो। Alright, so yeah, I'm telling to split the tabs. अच्छा, when you are in break, okay. So you want to split the tab with app and product, okay. So this is app.jsx and we'll have product.jsx. So ये रहा product.jsx. uh, ये वाला तो I hope that makes sense, but यहाँ पे थोड़ा बड़ा कोड है। So I mean this HTML is clear, तो यहाँ पे ऐसे रख देता हूँ so that you'll be getting that error, right? तो यहाँ पे it's just the function. The main core whatever we have done logic, it's here.
सर बस डेटा कॉन्टेक्स्ट वाला कर दो आप। प्रोडक्ट की जगह प्रोडक्ट हो चुका है सॉरी।
Sorry,
डेटा कॉन्टेक्स्ट पे स्विच कर दो आप।
ये वाला।
यस सर। ओके सर। थैंक यू।
Yeah, guys, have a break of 5 minutes and everyone be back at 1. Yeah, everyone back. All right, okay. So what was the problem statement that we were dealing with? फिर मैंने किसी फाइल पे लिख, we should start writing things on readme.md, no? Uh, eh, how to, हाँ, yeah, correct. How to replace window.location.href. All right. So उसके लिए we said कि let's create a login and sign up feature. तो चलो कर देते हैं. So let's say कि if I create a login.jsx page, and over here, let's quickly do it. So export const, and let's have a login over here, login, right? And this will be, yeah, shall we skip अच्छा चलो कोई नहीं, फिर फायरबेस वाला लॉगिन स्किप करेंगे. चलो ठीक है, विल सी इफ वी हैव टाइम फॉर प्राइवेट राउट्स और नॉट, नहीं तो मे बी वी कैन टेक इट अप इन पीएससी. तो इसके लिए विल शैल क्रिएट एन एंड पॉइंट ऑन फायरबेस. सो लेट्स डू दैट. Firebase, go to console, next. All right, and in real-time DB, we have, or we must create one APC users क्या है? What's it uses? अच्छा, we should create one user, right? A credential endpoint is already there. So here, this credential endpoint is already there. So let's use this, right? Credentials wala use karte hain. So let's use that. But before we log in, we need a sign up also. एक sign up भी चाहिए. So let's have a sign up.jsx also. So let's have that, and export const sign up. This will be a return, and let's have a form, and this will be sign up के time. Let's just take username and password everywhere so that I can quickly copy and paste things, right? यहाँ से वहाँ उठा के बस डाल दूंगा. So let's just take two inputs, and those will be username, and finally one input will be there for a type to be submit, right? And यहाँ पे we'll take we'll put a placeholder, and that will be email, and we'll put a placeholder. This will be password. All right, and here, so form में what's the event on submit? I hope you should be like form तो इतना बना लिया होगा, you should be aware how form works and all, right? So handle submit, let's call that, and this, let's create a handle submit function. So handle submit. Uh, so given that on submit is calling this function here, can we catch the event by default here itself? इधर ही catch हो जाएगा. All right, and we'll do e dot prevent default. All right, चलो. So e dot prevent default हो गया. Now next step will be to get all these data. Do you want to use useref for this? करना है try. I mean, let's use everything that we have learned, right? चलो useref use कर लेते हैं. So we'll have an email reference, right? This will be useref, and I hope मैंने तो I just press tab, but कहाँ से आ रहा है, you remember that. ठीक है. So let's keep it as empty, and let password ref equals to useref, and this will be empty. Now, whenever we are changing this, right? Whenever we are changing this input, what we wanna do, we wanna do email ref dot current. क्या करना है यहाँ पे? How do you change the value? Okay, चलो let's keep it clean format में रखते हैं. So let's call handle email, right? but it's similar, right? क्या करना है? चल, let's do it in initial fashion. This family. So, what should we do now? Value, have we given value anything? No. So, how should we approach this? We have seen controlled uncontrolled yesterday, right? So, again, I'm asking you, I'm not telling कि ऐसे करना है, I'm asking you, how should we go about it? E dot current dot value over here in on change. Okay, so I hope you're referring to email dot current, right? And this will be equals to E dot current dot value. That you say? Is this correct way of approaching it? Yes? Okay. So if that's so, this similarly can be done over here also, right? And this can be updated with password ref. Works, but E has to be passed. E has to be passed. Works. Okay, chalo. Let's say we have an object over here, right? And that object is email ref and password ref. Let's do one thing. Let's console and check what we are printing. So again, guys, UI पे दिखाना है. You have started using route, right? So now if you're using route and you haven't mentioned a route in a specific component, you won't be showing it. So should we give this thing a route? Sign up और login को route देना पड़ेगा क्या? देना पड़ेगा, right? So for now, let's do one thing. Let me just copy this code and login में भी यही करते हैं. It's just एक जगह get request होगा, एक जगह post होगा. So we'll define that. Let's go in app.jsx and over here, let's define two more paths, right? One path will be slash, this should be login, and the element will be login, and another path, give any path here. Yeah, it's not predefined. You can give any path that you want, right? This will be sign up, right? I can write register also, whatever you, right? Sign, and this element that will be present over here will be sign, right? And again, given that this thing is taking space, what we can do, we can just take this up, right? इसको उठाते हैं and इसको एक अलग से component में रखते हैं because it's taking a lot of space, right? So I can create utils, and over here I can say that routes dot j6. Let's name it at j6. And I'll say export and export all these routes, right? And उसको जाके we'll just import them in app.j6. यहाँ पे we'll just import all these. What did I name it? यार उसका नाम क्या था? Not the file, the route data. Okay. So app.j6 will import route data from util slash routes, right? So abhi bhi it should work, right? Let's refresh it. Home is not defined at routes. Route data, it should be present now, and we are doing route data map. Okay, we do a console.log of route data. So when we are reloading it, we have imported it, route data from routes. Oh, util, routes. Route data is a function, is it? It's just a normal element. We need to import home in route data. Exactly. So we'll need to import all these elements also. Right? So चलो वो कर देते हैं. अब उधर कर ही दिया तो करना ही पड़ेगा. And This will also be there. Products, product एक slash, चलो अभी नाम मिल गया, so we can import. What else do we have? We have a about, and we have a login, and we have a sign. ठीक. So now that we have imported them also, अभी it should be fine. Right. तो थोड़ा सा और we have again like made our code a bit more better by writing this. We can remove all these imports kind of unnecessary from our point of view currently, and we can remove this thing. ठीक. So yeah, अभी फिर से code थोड़ा cleaning. चलो. So now that we have login routes also, we should show them. So let's do one thing. Let's visit navbar. Where is navbar? In components, navbar, and navbar में let's attach these links also. So again the same thing, but this time this will be for login, and this will be for sign up, right? And यहाँ पे we'll change this to login, and we'll change this to sign up, right? Chalo. So now we'll have a few more pages over here, right? So we'll have a few more pages. We'll have about, we'll have login, and we'll have, okay, login must be throwing some error. Have we exported login? Have we exported these functions? We have. Sign up is also there. Okay, login. Let's check what the error is. Console. Useref is not defined. Useref is not defined. Useref, we have certainly defined useref, right? Okay, let's say we're in home page. Oh yeah, login may we just copied and pasted the code, right? Clear? Huh. So let's import that. Import useref. यार कॉपी पेस्ट के टाइम थोड़ा ये ध्यान रखना क्या क्या इंपोर्ट हुआ है क्या क्या नहीं हुआ है. ठीक. चलो. सो यहाँ पे लॉगिन इज देयर, साइन अप इज देयर, एंड वी हैव सर्टेन सेटअप ओवर हियर, राइट? चलो. सो नाउ once I visit sign up, right? तो sign up में sign up over here I should be getting the data. We were checking if we are getting the data or not. So let's visit console again. Console, let's fill. Uh, of course, we're getting some error by default here itself, right? So of course, submitting is not gonna do any good. Current and ref missing. Yeah. So yes, guys. क्या करना है, कैसे करना है? The element should be referred, yes or no? Right? So let's refer them. This one will get email reference, and one will get password reference. All right, now let's clarify it, and let's fill some password 123, submit. Still we have some issue reading properties. Okay, the value is throwing us error. Value is throwing us error. So how do we fix it? अच्छा, let me why just clean this up a bit. थोड़ा सा इसको messy लग रहा है मेरे को भी. Let me just clean it up a bit. Let's have handle email over here, and let's have handle password over here. Do you want to pass something in this? Handle email, let's have that over here. Okay, so over here, if I do console dot log input dot current. What should I be getting? Not input dot current. Should be doing input email dot ref, right? So let me just refresh it. Refresh it. Handle password is not defined. Let's define it. Handle password, and this will be console.log password ref dot current. ठीक है या री रेंडर बचाने के चक्कर में वी हैव डन सो मच चलो so let's fill something over here and let's fill 1 2 3 over here and let's submit it. So in this case what are we getting? Current is equals to input, so if I do current dot value, again current dot value, will I be getting these specific values? Yes. Okay, so why are we not getting them? I've literally just done a very small thing. एक code देखो guys, look at it, give it a hard look, top to bottom. Yeah. This is running on change, no? Yes, on change पे run कर रहा है, on change पे run कर रहा है. तो on change you wanna do email ref dot current is equals to email ref dot current dot value. What do you think about this? Not work. Okay. Guys, कल ही गया है. What should we do? I mean, if you want, even rethink from your end also. Tell the बताओ, do we need that on change at all if we are using ref? No? So this is unnecessary. ये सारी चीजें unnecessary है. If you're using a reference, you can just get that reference, right? And you can write it here itself. Current dot value. You can get it here itself, right? So इसको थोड़ा better कर देते हैं. Email is equals to email ref dot current dot value in this format, not this value, and then here we'll have password, right? And this will be password ref dot current dot value. Right? And now if I clear it, if I refresh it, and if I start filling the data, if I submit it, I'll get that. ठीक है, तो इतनी जल्दी कैसे घूम जाते हो? This issue I have even seen in evaluation. Specifically, this one mentioned when you guys had to create your own DB. उसमें you created something that you were not able to iterate only. ठीक, तो try going with simplistic form of doing things. So, all right, चलो. So now login maybe. Let's do that. Let's visit sign up. Now we have created this. The second step should be post the data. So import Axios from Axios, and we should do Axios dot post, right? And the URL to be posted is going to be this URL. This URL with credentials.json, right? एंड सेकेंडरी में हमें ऑब्जेक्ट भेजना है. क्लियर? Clear? And then we can attach a dot then over here, and this dot then will basically validate and do that redirection that we talked about, right? So abhi, if I sign up a user, I should by default send him to login page. Yes, by default we should send them to login page. So abhi, if I submit this user, if user is correctly logged in, I should send them in login page. So over here, I can't do window.location.href. So I'll use a feature hook that is provided by DOM, right? React Router DOM. That hook is called import use navigate, right? And it's not imported from React, guys. Use navigate is imported from React Router DOM. Clear? First thing first, you'll have to give that to a variable. उसको एक value देनी पड़ेगी. तो use navigate. Now it's being called and it has been defined in navigate. And here I can just write navigate. Again, this will be a function which will take the route. So we're doing a visit. Once you have logged in, signed up, login page /login. That's it. That's how you redirect in React via using router. So, clear? So you just import use navigate hook. You assign that use navigate hook a value to a variable, and you just use that variable to call based on whichever endpoint you wanna visit. Clear? Clear? So let's log in a user. Let's sign up a user rather. gmail.com, and let's fill a password 123. If I submit it, if the user is logged in properly, we should have been sent to login page. So have we redirected it onto login page? Right? That means that user is successfully signed up. Right? So you can see that data is here. Clear how redirection works, how navigation works? You can just use navigate for that. All right, so this is clear to everyone, right? The initial value for use, no, it's not required. Nothing is required. ठीक है? So it can be doable whenever you have to navigate based on command. अभी क्या कर सकते हो? Now these buttons can have handle click with. So now you can create buttons based on that. No, कर सकते हैं? Right? Whenever that button is clicked, in that button click, you can have this navigate. Getting it? Should I show this or you can do this? हो जाएगा? Because we have something else to cover, so maybe we can do that. Okay, चलो एक काम करता हूँ. I'm not sure if you got what I'm trying to convey. So basically, rather than nav link, right? Rather than this, let's say product के लिए, let's remove nav link. इस पे let's have button, right? And this will be your product page. Right? So you have a button for product page. Now over here, what you can say ki whenever this was on clicked, right? Whenever this was clicked, you want to run a certain feature wherein you want to navigate. So over here, first thing first, you'll have to use navigate. You'll have to import navigate, use navigate. And this is imported from React Router DOM. And यहाँ पे क्या करेंगे हम लोग? We'll just navigate them to /product. Right? So abhi, if I click on product, I'll visit product. But now entire button will work. Clear? अब तो हो जाना चाहिए. All right. ठीक है. So this is done. I mean, I have shown you how sign up works. I hope you can do login. क्योंकि login you have already created. That's why I'm not going there. Login तो कर लोगे, right? We have a few more things to understand before वो छोटी चीजों पे ध्यान दे. तो अभी के लिए, if you again visit app.jsx, I have a small question with you. Is it possible that maybe user tries playing around with this URL and maybe they might reach somewhere they don't want? Let's say I'm going for a register page. Is there any page that exists named by register? No. So if I press on it, I'll throw an error. Nothing will be visible over here. Nothing will be visible over here. Either बोलेगा route match location. You say that no. Similarly, if I write 123 or something, if I write 123 or something, will I be visiting it? No. So we have to take care of these cases. These are edge cases where user kind of gets lost. Right? खो गया user, उसको वापस बुलाना है जगह पे, वापस बुलाना है जगह पे. Or maybe what you can do is you can send them to send them an alert at least. उनको पता तो लगना चाहिए. They are not gonna open console and see कि yeah, that thing is not present. Should that be a case or should that be not? According to you guys, आपके point of view से. It should be. That makes sense. So basically, we have a universal path, right? You have a path over here, right? Let me write it in the next line. You have one more path which is defined just for these cases. Whenever they get lost, aside from visiting the endpoints that are mentioned, it is defined by asterisks, right? And over here, you can call an element where you want to visit. Take. So, I mean, let's say कि I'm thinking about कि maybe we can show an alert, but चलो element दिखा देते हैं because this is first time that you're dealing with it. Can send to home page. Yeah, you can. हाँ, so you can send them to home page also. But let's do one thing. Let's create retype not found. Right? Let's create a not found page, right? And वहाँ पे I mean, let's create a component जो कि हर time visit रहे if they are not visiting there. So let's have not found .jsx and we'll export not const not found लिखा है हमने वहाँ पे app routes.jsx. This should be not found. All right. So यहाँ पे not found and this should be let's just return अभी के लिए h2 404 not found. Right. So app.jsx में जाएंगे and यहाँ पे and not found will have to import it. So import not found from this, right? So abhi if we visit some pages which we are not supposed to be there, will be given this not found. Abhi how do I redirect our user back to where they should be? But why is navbar there still? You should see the hierarchy that we have mentioned. तो ये रहा parent div के अंदर पहले navbar है. This navbar isn't part of routing system. वो routing के अंदर नहीं, it's outside. ठीक, तो this div is divided into navbar and उसके बाद उसके नीचे जितनी भी चीजें हैं वो route हो रही है, not just navbar. तो navbar is something that you want to keep every time, right? I mean, if you want to remove, you can attach conditional rendering over here that you can do. हाँ, एक सेकेंड, हम किस चीज के बारे में बात कर रहे थे? वी वर ऑन नॉट फाउंड, राइट? इन दिस नॉट फाउंड, should we send our user back to somewhere? Should we redirect them? Right? So over here, what I can do, I can set a use effect, right? एक use effect set करते हैं. Let's do a proper redirection. And क्या करते हैं? Let's say कि whenever this thing starts, you run it, and you'll say कि I'll start a can we like do a timeout, right? And we'll say कि you will be redirected to home page in 5 4 3 2 1. Make sense? Make sense, right? So let's do a set timeout. Let's do a set timeout, and this set timeout will basically do something for each second, and set time out. पर यहाँ पे चलो let's have a count. Let count set count equals to use state. Now I'll need your help here. बताओ जल्दी. How can I? पहले तो ये बताओ कि let's say I have a counter over here, right? Let's have a dev for not found, right? Let's say I have a counter over here and which is showing this count. ठीक, so how can I decrement this count each second? Very good, very good. ठीक है, तो set count -1. चलो, तो let's start with 5 then. Makes sense to me, but it is 4. You have to update it every time this count is updated. So we should give count over here, right? So it works. It works. But as soon as it touches 0, जैसे ही 0 touch करता है, we have to redirect. For now, I'm just gonna comment this one out. अभी बताओ, how are we gonna redirect? Cleanup function is there. That's fine. That's fine. Fair enough. Fair enough. So cleanup function is there. Let's say let timeout id equals to this, and whenever we are returning, we'll say clear interval and this is timeout id. चलो, हमने cleanup भी कर दिया. There is no data leaks. Memory leak नहीं हो रहा है. अब stop कैसे करेंगे? Should we write a if condition over here? Should we write a if condition over here? Can I write if count is equals to 0? In that case, what I want to do, I want to clear the interval anyways. Let's refresh it. What do you guys think? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. It's removed. Cleanup function काम कर रहा है. And जैसे ही cleanup function is done running, we don't want to stay here, right? We don't want to stay here. What we'll just navigate. So let navigate equals to use navigate, and we'll just navigate back. Navigate to home slash. Right, but there's some issue. Cannot access timeout ID before it. Okay. Got the problem, guys. Timeout ID before, so we'll have to define this timeout outside, right? And उसके बाद इसको reassign करें. ठीक है, remember this that we used to do, है ना? Makes sense, right? Makes sense. चलो, so now not found में we can say कि will redirect you to home page in I can't see it now, in these seconds, right? And let's say we put some wrong ID. Let's say user is going, so it will say कि will redirect you in 3, 2, 1, and they'll redirect it back to home page. हो जाएगा? Yes. Clear? This part is clear to everyone, right? And this is all the time mostly. If clear interval in if condition, then why we use cleanup at last? So, I mean, yes, you can remove it, but cleanup can be like a contingency, right? कि मान लो कोई edge case हो गया जहां पे it didn't triggered it, तो in that case anyways we are in cleaning it up, right? नहीं तो return by default वो undefined ही भेज रहा होता, we are sending cleanup, that's fine. It doesn't hurt, right? Help नहीं कर रहा है, but it's not hurting either. ठीक, how to see email after sign up and login? यार वो तो आप कर सकते हो. right? I'm not logging in because that might take time and I have to cover one more small thing. ठीक, so that try it out from your, वो छोटी सी चीज कर लो. ठीक है, तो there's one more thing that we want to discuss over here. Actually two more thing, but if we don't get time for the last one, उसको हम PSC में will take it over, right? But the thing is that इट्स नॉट जस्ट कि आप सिर्फ ऐसे राउट्स को विजिट करते हो, राइट? लेट्स से कि वी हैव पोस्ट्स, राइट? एंड लाइक in here we have posts, but if I go and write one after it, will I be getting all the one user id based data? If I go and type 2 over here, will I get all the 2 id based? If I type 3 over here, I'll get everything in 3 id, right? So is this particular route dynamic? ये route dynamic है, it's changing based on a certain ID, maybe may not be present, right? तो यहाँ पे जो है ना, we have to start thinking in terms of how we can start creating a dynamic kind of route, right? Yes, sir. Exactly. So we were at product page, right? And hmm, चलो इसके लिए एक दूसरा राउट बनाते हैं. लेट्स क्रिएट अ पोस्ट राउट, राइट? एक पोस्ट राउट बनाते हैं. लेट्स क्रिएट अ पोस्ट राउट. सो posts dot jsx, right? And let's export this const posts, and this will basically return let's return a div, and for now, just for the naming convention, I'm keeping it as posts. And app.jsx में will go, and over here पहले तो उनको routes में ऐड करना पड़ेगा. So let's add it over here. Path that will be slash posts, and element that will be posts, right? थोड़ा हमने clutter कर दिया यहाँ पे, but चलो कोई नहीं, we just in kind of learning phase only, so that's fine. But I hope कि जब आप applications बना रहे होगे आप इतना clutter नहीं करोगे. ठीक, थोड़ा सा उसको ढंग से सोचना है, ठीक है? चलो, सो प्रोडक्ट के बाद लेट्स हैव अ पोस्ट ओवर हियर, राइट? आई वुड रादर हैव इट इन nav link क्योंकि इट्स काइंड ऑफ स्टाइल्ड. तो चूज दिस. यहाँ पे विल हैव टू विजिट, वाज इट पोस्ट और वाज इट पोस्ट्स? चलो अपने आप ही पता लग जाएगा. लेट्स हैव इट एज, ठीक है. सो इफ आई क्लिक ऑन पोस्ट्स, we are I think it was post. Second, it was posts. Are we not importing posts? I think we are not. Import posts. All right. So if I click on post, we're exporting this. That's all right. And routes में, अच्छा it says now. Okay, ठीक है. Path में we were making a mistake. This is posts, right? चलो, let's keep it posts. So we'll fix it in navbar. Navbar में भी fix कर देते हैं. So navbar में we'll keep it as posts. Right? ठीक है. तो अभी the case that we were talking about कि there's a possibility that user might wanna visit a specific post, right? So again, let's say we are on post, they might wanna check something like this. So in that case, we'll have to create a dynamic navigation system. वो it's very simple. All it takes is you'll visit this route first. आप routes में जाओगे, and in this routes you have to get the IDs, right? आपको आईडी चाहिए. तो whenever you want something dynamic in route now, you write a colon and you write that name. This can be anything, this can be id, this can be name, anything that you want dynamically added, right? जो कि user dynamically add करेगा. The user is gonna dynamically add this. Let's say if they go and write a slash if they go and write a /1 over here, they're gonna dynamically add it. Yes, yes, no, guys, with me or not? Hello, people there. Okay. So, in posts, what we'll have to do, we'll have to start accepting that dynamic feature that they have sent, right? So, यहाँ पे यार were we yeah we were. So over here, there's a hook that is called use params, right? And again, it's provided by your React router DOM only. So let's say कि we do id equals to use params, right? So abhi, what this use params will do, wherever this post was mentioned as an element, ये उसकी URL पकड़ेगा and it will pick this data from it, right? So that data is id, but there is a possibility that there can be multiple queries. So this is usually an object. Out of those multiple queries, I just need one query which is id, right? So now if I go and show you if we are getting that id or not, let's say if I go and write id over here, take, and let's say if I want to visit posts 1, so you'll see I'm visiting posts 1. If I go and write posts 2, I'll visit post 2. And if I go and write Avengers, I press enter, I'll get this. Right? So basically by using this hook that is provided by React Router DOM, we're able to access this particular ID. And based on this ID, can we not show the post based on this? We already have use context में data stored post का. जैसे product में you have this particular title, right? तो उसी तरीके से in context API do we have the data stored? Do we have the data stored? Right? तो can you not filter that data? Can you not filter that data? Let's say कि आपने data नाम से उसको किया data dot filter लगाओ, filter लगाओ, right? Check if this ID matches or not, and फिर that particular data you can show it over here. Got it? Got it? So that's how you can do it, right? So again, posts, anything that you write over here can be caught over. Clear है? Any doubts in this? Because this is like very simple thing, but कभी कभी थोड़ा सा सर से ऊपर चला जाता है, तो that happens. If data is not available, that you then you know कि that filter is gonna be empty, that box is gonna be empty, right? तो just based on that show something component में, नहीं तो उनको उसमें भेज दो, किसमें, your not found वाले में, वहां से अपने आप redirect हो जाएंगे. Use params can fetch ID only? No, it can fetch anything, right? यहाँ पे I'm just writing a movie name. I'm giving you an idea कि OMDB use कर सकते हो. If I press enter, you'll get that particular thing. सिर्फ ID ही नहीं fetch करेगी. ठीक है? So again, play around it a bit. You'll get an idea कि कैसे हो रहा है. So that will be there. Alright, so this is clear. I mean, just the first thing that you have to understand is कि you just have to pass it in this fashion, nothing else, right? And जहाँ पे आप accept कर रहे हो, पे गया था यहाँ पे, we were accepting it, just use params and you can use. ठीक, we have time, maybe we can cover private routes also. So let's do that. Let's do that. All right. So if I tell you कि I want to make a route private, why would I want to do that? उसका मतलब क्या होता है राउट के प्राइवेट होने का? Premium users, okay, okay. So सिर्फ प्रीमियम ही नहीं, think about this कि in most websites some features are there that can be accessible without even logging in, right? बिना login के भी accessible रहता है. Yes, some features are there which can be accessible without logging, but then some features are there like adding things to cart, placing an order, even in e-commerce platform. जिनको क्या चाहिए? They need you to be logged in, right? So those are routes that you can say कि those routes are protected routes. So how do we do that? Again, login system you guys can create. I'm just gonna go on a limb and I'll assume कि maybe we are logged in. राइट, मैं app.js में जाऊंगा, यू कैन डू लॉग इन, राइट, साइन अप तो मैंने करवा ही दिया फायरबेस पे, यू कैन लॉग इन, गेट द डेटा एंड चेक इफ दे आर प्रेजेंट ऑन द सिस्टम और कर लोगे कि नहीं, हो जाएगा ना? ठीक है, चलो। सो now let's say कि these routes are there, right? अभी what I want to do, I want a certain route that should be private, right? Let's say कि ये जो product route है, I want to keep it private. So in that case what I'll do, I'll first off remove this product from here, right? पहले तो मैं इस product को यहाँ से हटा दूँगा, right? तो product routes हटा दिया, I'll have to remove it from navbar also. So let me remove this. ठीक है, एंड आई अटैच इट सेपरेटली, राइट, मैं उसको सेपरेटली अटैच करूंगा ओवर हियर, बट अगेन to then put it in multiple format or your अच्छा चलो, let's try fragment over here. Let's try fragment over here. All right, so basically what we are gonna do, we are gonna create a component over here which will be called private cloud. Right, now this component isn't something that is provided by these things, वो हम खुद बनाते हैं, right? So let's say if I go here and if I create this private route.jsx, again it's just conditional rendering, I'll show you conditional rendering और कुछ नहीं. So private route and this will be in this fashion. Now let's say if I go back in routes, no, app.jsx, and over here I'll first have to import it. Let's import private route from this. Okay, so now we have our private route also. Yeah, okay. Supposed to let's keep it at, let's refresh it. I think अच्छा private route में we won't fill something, that's why, but I'm also aware कि this could have been fragment needed. चलो चलो कोई नहीं, we'll see about that. So let's say कि over here over here we have a state, right? And this state basically says कि is our user authenticated or not. Let's say कि logged in करके एक state है हमारे पास, तो by default let's keep it true, yes user is logged in. So in this case I'll go inside this private route and I'll provide logged in and I'll send this thing, right? To logged in I'll send. And one more thing, I'll have to give this private route, I'll have to give this a path also. So let's give this a path. And this shall be your product. Okay. And then we'll create routes inside this. Right. And inside. Yeah, but again, that fragment thing is थोड़ा मुझे परेशान करे कि maybe because we have the looped over it, na, so I don't want to remove that loop also. But routes को it needs directly the route only. अच्छा चलो, I'll have to write this example again बिना उसके, बिना loop के, तो maybe we can cover it tomorrow, right? Or should I copy this file and paste it somewhere else? Because I'm thinking like if I give this file to you, then the data will be lost. अगर मैं उसको remove कर देता हूँ तो maybe, yeah, maybe I can do that. अच्छा चलो, anyways, let's cover this tomorrow only. It will take around 20 minutes, so we'll discuss it about it. एक काम करेंगे, tomorrow we'll this complete this login feature also, and with that we'll create the private. Let it be till here only. नहीं तो I mean timeline will increase for me and you also. चलो कोई नहीं, तो समराइज करने का टाइम, my battery is getting over honestly. So chalo, let's quickly summarize whatever we have learned so far. We have learned about installing a certain library which was called React Router DOM, right? And what features has it provided? First thing first, routes we were able to create, right? Inside this we were able to send route, पर ये सारी चीजें has to be covered inside something which was called browser provider router. What was it? Quickly, guys. Provider. Okay. This was browser router, right? So this thing was basically used to create the URL. Then we were given tools to visit those URLs. So first tool was link tag, in which you write to over here, right? What are link tags? Nothing but anchor tags only. Just React के anchor tags है, so they don't trigger refreshes, they trigger re-renders, right? Anchor tags क्या करते थे? They trigger refresh. Yes, yes. उसके बाद we learned about how we can dynamically or programmatically render नहीं navigate, right? So how we can, like, based on some logic, how we can navigate. So we had a navigate feature, use navigate hook. Now this hook was provided by React or React Router DOM. React Router DOM ने दिया था, ठीक? This you assign it to variable, right? इसको आप एक variable में assign करते हो and that thing basically calls with the URL, right? यहाँ पे also nav link भी पढ़ा था, right? And this can be styled nav links, ठीक? उसके बाद we learnt about one more thing which was dynamic endpoints. And यहाँ पे क्या किया था हमने? यहाँ पे क्या किया था? First thing first, whenever you are creating path, whatever thing has to be dynamic, right? Let's say कि pages slash, you mention it with a colon. This can be ID, this can be name, anything, right? And this will be accepted by using use params, right? ये कहाँ से import होता है? React और React Router DOM. React Router DOM, right? React Router DOM, right? And this provides an object. वो object क्यों provide होता है? Because this can have multiple different things, right? Query multiple हो सकती है. Query can be multiple. So we destructured ID from it. All right. And finally, you can use this ID to create based on that. We also made segues and we did few more things जिनकी वजह से kind of we distributed time जो कि जाना चाहिए था topics में. But anyways, we learned, so that's fine. We revised use context also. Use context की revision हो गया. Now everyone is familiar with this. This is good. We save data in here. And again, yeah, sign up login took time that shouldn't taken, but chalo going. So we did sign up and login using Firebase and user FB revise हो गया, ठीक? तो चलो रिविजन हो गई कोई, तो दैट्स सिल्वर लाइनिंग, रिविजन तो हो गई, चलो. And then we navigated here also. By using navigate, right? And we learned one more thing, if the URL is not found, how we can create that redirect based on time, right? So this we have already done. And what was the path for this? Correct, Praveen? What was the path for this? Districts. ठीक है. So far we have covered this. We are just left with one more topic. So in tomorrow's PC we'll take it up. So make sure everyone is joining it, right? And although it will be optional, but I hope everyone joins it, right? So basically I'll just give you an idea कि क्या होता क्या है उसमें. So you remember that we created this व्हाट डू वी कॉल इट, प्राइवेट राउट करके कंपोनेंट बनाया था, राइट? तो वी बेसिकली जस्ट टू कंडीशनल रेंडरिंग ओवर इट ओनली. तो यहाँ पे व्हाट वी कुड हैव डन, वी कुड हैव सेंट सम राउट, and if this is how you call a function, right? pr, ये क्लोज हो जाता. तो कैन आई एक्सेप्ट दीज राउट्स एज चिल्ड्रन? चिल्ड्रन की तो एक्सेप्ट कर सकता था. तो इनसाइड माई प्राइवेट राउट फंक्शन component, what I would have done, I would have returned these routes only if that is logged, अगर वो ट्रू है तो. ठीक, तो यहाँ पे बस यहाँ पे एक छोटी सी कंडीशनल रेंडरिंग लगती है, एंड वी वुड हैव डन इज लॉग्ड ट्रू, तो आई शो द राउट, एल्स नॉट फाउंड पे भेज देता हूँ. राइट, दिस इज व्हाट आई वुड हैव डन. बट अगेन आई डिड, मतलब लॉग इन कल क्या करते हैं, लॉग इन करते हैं पहले एंड देन विल क्रिएट दैट एंटायर सिस्टम. Right, I basically want to give you a kind of a experience ki how you can deal with multiple APIs at same time. So tomorrow we'll do fetch from not just Firebase, some external API also. Maybe we can carry on with this application, maybe कुछ scratch बना लें. ठीक है? So overall clear है? Any doubts? Anything till now? Quickly, yes or no? 1 or 0?